So welcome to another amazing webinar here as part of the Spark Innovation Educational Center here in lovely Niagara Falls, Ontario. And what we do is we provide webinars, workshops, seminars to really help the public, the community, entrepreneurs in general, and anybody really. So today we have a very exciting webinar on living a healthy lifestyle. And this is, again, this is very exciting for me to lead this one because I try my hardest to live somewhat of a healthy lifestyle. Given that my background was in health sciences, I think that at least I should be preaching what I was taught, or at least following what I was taught. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. It's great to have two amazing guests here today. So the first I want to introduce is Mick. Mick, why don't you give us a little bit of your background, who you are, what you've done, what you do, and yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. And thanks for the opportunity of being here. My name is Mick and last name is Majid, M-A-J-I-D. My background is primarily in healthcare. I'm a microbiologist by training, and I've spent a number of years working in hospitals and infectious diseases, and also working in the pharmaceutical industry with a very small company called Johnson & Johnson. I left Johnson & Johnson and then kind of ventured out on my own, and that was back in 1996. So ever since that, I've been kind of going on a very different journey, focusing mainly on healthcare. What I have done now is basically, Jenille and I have put our heads together in terms of coming up with a platform that focuses how we can help people become healthier and also fight any diseases, or if they have chronic diseases, how they can effectively manage it so that it doesn't get any more complicated. So in a nutshell, that's the my intro, and then later on I'll be open to any questions.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mick. A lot of experience. And yes, Johnson & Johnson, such a small company to be working for. Awesome. And next, we'll pass it over to Jenille. So Jenille, welcome. And it's I can already tell by your personality that you're an awesome person to be around. So I'm interested to hear more about you and a little bit about your history and what you do.
Yes. So thank you, Dan. Yes, so I'm Jenille, and I'm a registered dietitian. And I've been a registered dietitian now for almost 10 years. And most of my time I spent working in the hospital setting, but I also worked in industry. But also from my experience working in the hospital, that's kind of where I really got firsthand experience in terms of seeing the importance of nutrition and how what we eat really does dictate how we feel. And my specialty is in mental health and eating disorders. So I really got to focus on not only the nutrition aspect, but why we make certain choices and that behavior. And it also plays into part of my training because I also have a degree in psychology. So if I'm combining my psychology degree and then also my nutrition degree, and I've done a master's in nutrition, so I like school. That's what the people might say, you really love school, but I love learning. And one thing I've seen is that when the decisions we make in terms of how we eat, what we eat, are so influenced by so much more than just a grocery store. It's our upbringing, it's our culture, and it's our feelings towards food. And what my passion is, and when Mick approached me about this idea, and it's been a while now, oh my gosh, probably in 2012, around there, he approached me with this idea, and I just said, yes, this is what is missing from my experience, is just helping people realize how they can use food as their medicine and really work with physicians. And we'll be talking about that today. And that's really become my passion. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I love food. I love everything about it. And I'm a continuous learner.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a big foodie too. And if you say food is medicine, then you don't want to see me on Saturday night because I'm probably overdosing. So that is it's awesome. Great. So the way we're going to do today is going to go through a couple of rounds of questions. I'm going to ask both Mick and Jenille some questions, provide their professional feedback on that, and then we're going to kind of go into a Q&A with anybody here if you have any specific questions that you want to ask. So the first topic we're going to be asking questions around is understanding what a healthy lifestyle is. Okay, so first question I'm going to direct towards you, Mick. So there seems to be a discrepancy on what living a healthy lifestyle is. It seems to be, well, you have to exercise, I mean, 7 days a week, and you got to restrict calories, and you got to make sure that you're eating your fats and not fats. And what the heck's the food chain going? Sometimes it's upside down triangle, sometimes it's not. It's crazy. It changes all the time. So can you expand on what you think healthy lifestyle is, and this is why you started Salus well, and what is your vision with the company and with this overall endeavor you're taking of a healthy lifestyle?
Thanks, Dan. It's a very good question in terms of understanding what we really kind of mean in terms of what does it mean to be healthy have a healthy lifestyle. And most our habits come because of our lifestyle that we live. You know, we do less exercise or physical activity, and we are more prone to eat foods that are not healthy for us. So my goal has been to sort of see these kind of transitions that are happening, because what this thing is also doing, it is putting a lot of stress on individuals with their health challenges. Because we make this is a progressive thing that happens over a period of time if you are not paying attention to how you're living your life, whether it is on the healthy side or it is on the non-healthy side. And one of the things that I would like to stress here is, see, diet, for example, is the root of good health and bad health. So keep that in mind, because that speaks a lot for us to understand what healthy living means. On the other hand, physical activities also, because it keeps our body moving, it keeps us in the mobility, because we need that. We need to have a better metabolism of our intake of foods that we eat, whether they are bad food or good food. We still need to have some active metabolism. And the other thing it builds our immunity as well. Our immune system builds on that basis. So to answer your question in terms of what is healthy living is basically very simple. It is eating right and doing the exercises, or being physically active, and that results in a better and healthier life.
Perfect. That's a great summary, and I'm sure we'll dive a little deeper into what a healthy diet is and what appropriate physical exercise is. So can you tell me a little bit about Salus, the company that you've created, and how that fits into your description of a healthy lifestyle and with diet and exercise?
Well, my journey with Salus started with more of a personal experience. Back in 2012, I went and saw my primary care physician and asked for an annual examination. I said, I've been feel okay, but I still normally used to have an annual exam, and I hadn't had for a couple of years. So he said, yeah, sure, let's do it. You did the blood test, and they checked me over, and he said, everything looks good. So come back for your results, and we'll discuss what needs to be done after 2 weeks. So I went back, saw him, and he basically said to me, he says, everything is good with the exception of one thing. And he says, that's your cholesterol has gone high. And he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on statin. And I said, well, hold it. Before we go on to statin, I said, I'd like to kind of discuss this a little bit more in terms of what can we do other than going and taking a pill. And he said, well, the first thing you have to do is lose weight. And so I asked him, I said, if I take a statin, will that help me lose weight? And he says, no. He said, just it'll control your cholesterol. So I said, well, I'd rather lose the weight then, and then, hopefully my cholesterol will be in check. So he said, yeah, go do that. And I said, well, do you have any idea how I can do it? And so he basically just reached inside on the side of his desk drawer, and he came out and gave me a piece of paper that had 900 calories a day meal plans on it. All right. Now, at that point, I mean, I was weighing over 200 pounds, and 900 calories for me would be a shock to my system. So I said to him,
Everybody's
now,
system.
exactly. So I said to him, I said, now listen, I said, Clive, no, let's get serious with this thing. So he says, well, you know what I would suggest you do? He said, go find a dietitian, and maybe they will be able to help you because they have a good, help you with meal plans and so forth. So I said, okay, fine. So I said, well, do you know a dietitian? He said, no, I don't. So he said, talk to Mary at the front desk and she might be able to help you. Mary wasn't able to help me. So anyway, I called a friend of mine who's a dietitian, and I said to her, I said, I'd like to get together with you and discuss something important. So he said, yeah, fine. So we met. So I showed her the piece of paper and looked at it quickly, and she said, do you mind if I tear it? I said, yeah, I just wanted to show you I'm not kind of following any of those things. So from that, really, my whole journey started because I realized sitting there with her that there was a gap where the physicians and the dietitians need to work together in order to help people like us. The physicians will refer us to physiotherapists, they will refer us to occupational therapists, chiropractor, or whatever, but they have no connection with dietitian whatsoever. So being in healthcare and also recognizing that most of our illnesses, when we look at, are all lifestyle related illnesses. When we talk about any cardiovascular issues, we talk about diabetes, we talk about obesity, and we talk about cancer. So that what prompted me to building Salus. So I put my head together and I met Jenille, and we got talking about it. I shared my ideas with her, and we started this journey and building a platform that will help. And basically what the platform offers is that it allows individuals who are concerned about their health or who want to adapt a healthy lifestyle can go online and have a one-on-one consultation with the dietitians, or their physicians can refer them to the dietitians and have consultation, because if they do that, then there's a three-way connection. And the also idea is that you want an individual to also take responsibility for self-care. And so they become responsible as well, rather than just popping the pill and thinking everything will work out fine. Because what you're doing is managing the symptoms, but not the cause. So that's the whole premise of this platform, and that's where our journey is, and that's where we are going forward. And the long-term mission is hoping, we can make few people healthier.
Absolutely. So that's a great program, great cause. I'm sure we'll talk more about Salus well a little later on. I want to give a chance for Jenille to talk a little bit. I mean, I worked a lot with dietitians in my past when I was working in the community health centers, and it's crazy that a lot of people don't use the dietitians. I mean, most benefits plans even actually cover dietitian, meaning that some people don't even know that, which is crazy. But the question for you, Jenille, is that eating healthy is perhaps the most common phrase when you're trying to lose weight, you're combating disease, or you're just trying to live a better overall life. For the listeners, can you comment on what an overall healthy diet is, or if there is even just like a gold standard?
Dan, I wish it was that easy, that there was a gold standard and that we could just say, hey, follow this and all your health and weight and all those issues would be gone. And that's what the media and the diet industry promises. The diet industry is, oh my gosh, I think multi-million-dollar industry because it's based on false promises. And that's the thing that we need to start to realize, is that nutrition is individualized. So what that means is what I consider healthy or what's healthy for me may not be healthy for you. And in my experience and in my practice, what I've seen is that it's an individualized approach, and you've got to really tailor it to the individual. And this is why working with a registered dietitian, and of course, being a registered dietitian, I am going to toot my horn, but yeah, that's the way to go, because we take that time. We take that time to assess you as an individual, not give blanket statements. And I hear so many times in my own practice things that what Mick experienced, where yes, the doctor gives a handout that he pulls out of his desk, or he print it off on the, from the internet and whatnot. And unfortunately, that leaves people more lost in the end. So when it comes to a healthy diet, yes, there are some foundations of certain things that you really have to look for, but it looks at the entire person and looking at what's healthy for you, for where you are in your life and your circumstances. And that's how you will get the results. So rather than going, as I said, online, printing off, or listening to, the latest trends on TV, which are so enticing, because sometimes I'll tell you the truth, I love hearing them because I invest. I'm like, what? You can drink that and it melts all the fat, or you can do, and it's almost become comical. But the thing, as a registered dietitian, we work evidence-based materials to work for you, work for our clients. And that's why, on one hand, it may seem like, oh, okay, so yeah, so she doesn't have a magic word on what considers the healthy diet, but it's attainable. That's the thing. It's something that if you do take the time to work with somebody one-on-one, it's something that you can achieve and you can stick to, because it's not going to entail restriction and you're always hungry and you're always feeling weak. It's not going to entail those things. No, because again, when you're looking at the person as a whole and looking at different assets about their life, different aspects of what they do, their activity level, their interests, all of those things, it's really it's attainable. But unfortunately, from what we have available to us readily out there, it does become a bit daunting for people. So this is why Salus is something I truly believe in, because it opens up that communication and brings dietitians to clients. And so when a lot of times people will say, oh, yeah, where do I find a dietitian? I've never heard of a dietitian, and that type of thing. Salus will have a platform and a network of dietitians from various backgrounds that can help you with all different types of things, because, as I said, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Well, that's exactly it. Speaking from my personal experience, so I've been on a weight loss journey for what it seems my entire life, just like most people. But you're right. You get all these fads. Oh, let me do the keto diet or the Atkins diet, or or just the eat steam only diet. And it's ridiculous because nothing is sustainable. And if you look at the word diet, it's really an acronym for did I eat that? Because people are always wondering, oh my God, did I just eat that? Am I allowed to eat that? And what I figured out is I do quite a bit of, well, I wouldn't say reading. I'm lazy, so I have audiobooks and people read to me. But there was a great book by Michael Greger. It's called How Not to Die. And what that book is that he was a physician in one of the best cancer wards in Boston and all of the United States. And basically what he started doing is giving his patients dietary recommendations to help combat cancer, as opposed to, in combination with chemo and all the other things. But the effects that food could have on reversing disease is astronomical, and it's so easy to do. For one example, so just, and this is just me talking, but there was a research study where in India there's hardly any cases of colon cancer, and in the United States it's the third leading cause of cancer is colon cancer. And what they found is that they followed a group of people from India who moved from India to the United States, and of those people, 70% ended up developing colon cancer when they adjusted to the American lifestyle. And what they found is that when they were in India, they were eating so much turmeric that turmeric is a great thing for types of clearing the colon and make sure that no cancer can grow in the colon. So it's funny that, like you said, lifestyles, culture, really plays a big role, and diversifying yourself to different types of cultures and different types of foods makes you get all the benefits, right? It's not one type of diet. It's not the Mediterranean diet that does best. It's not the Indian diet. It's not the keto diet. It's not. It's a combination of everything and how important food is. So, sorry that I took a little bit of time there, but yeah, I totally agree that it's about eating healthy, but healthy does not mean it's not tasty. That's you can make a lot of good tasty foods that are healthy, right? So now the next step I want to go into is exactly what I was talking about, separating the good from the bad. So I want to jump back to Mick, and Mick, I want to ask you a question. It seems that the healthy lifestyle is like we discussed, a multidisciplinary approach through diet, exercise, and lifestyle. One of the main ones that we've discussed is physical exercise and activity being and having just overall better movement. So what are some good practices to ensure that you have your healthy lifestyle that consists of a lot of good movement? And what are some of the bad things that we should be avoiding or not doing in regards to movement and exercise?
Well, this area is becoming very important in this whole thing too. I mean, there are two main components really that you want to pay attention to in order to sort of create a healthy lifestyle for yourself. Number one, as we talked about, is the good nutrition. Nutrition is very important because that's what feeds our body, and we want to feed our body in the healthy way. And the second thing is being active, being physically active, doing exercise. And we don't have to, go out there and buy membership in gym clubs and all that stuff. You can do a lot of things as a physical activity at home or even at work, because workplace is becoming that much more important because we tend to sit a lot. At work, we sit on chairs, you see, and that is something that you want to avoid for a long period of time. And so the whole focus really in the physical activity or exercise comes down to is what is comfortable for you. You want to be able to keep yourself active, whether you're doing walking. You see, walking again is a very simple and easiest thing that you can do for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Go out for a walk and a brisk. I understand wintertime is a little difficult, but in most of, in the summer, spring and summer and fall, you can really reach out there and do as much walking as you can do. The only thing you don't want to do is sit for a long period of time, because that is a killer, because that is becoming another a lifestyle disease, really, so to speak, because the longer you sit, your metabolism slows down, and you create more havoc in the body. You could eat good food, but at the same time, if you're not active, you're not using that, and burning that food to burn your fats and proteins to build a muscle and so forth, you're really kind of making a losing cause there. So that's the thing. You see, I mean, for example, right now, I'm standing, attending this, presenting this webinar, because that's how I like to do it. At least I'm not sitting. I sat there for a while, I get up, and then I, do presentations or whatever the case is. I do it while I'm standing, because that keeps, me moving. So that's really what is important.
That's great. I mean, I wish I could say I'm standing too, but I'm not. I'm 100% sitting right now, which is totally fine. But that's great. I mean that the standing is very important. Even when I was working as a kinesiologist, one of the most important tests that we did with patients was a sit to stand. So how easily they can get into a standing position from a seated position, and that was a determinant of their overall physical health. So I completely agree that standing is probably most important.
Yeah, and then you see, I invested in a sit and stand desk.
Yes.
So I put a timer on it for myself, so that I know that I'm not sitting for a long period of time. Because if you're working on computer, that's one of the things, either you sit for a long period of time and then you have to get up, or you have to stretch or do something. So I use that as a platform, so to speak, to keep myself physically active.
That's a great point. And I totally agree with walking. The power that walking can do is fantastic. And most people just like it's so easy to walk, take a phone call outside instead of sitting in your couch.
Yes.
On your phone, just take your phone call outside. I'm a big pacer when I talk on the phone anyway, so I'm always moving. So the next question is going to good to the bad is for Jenille. So there seems to be that there's a belief that eating healthy is very expensive. You got to buy all the superfoods, your bok choy, your pomegranates, and all the expensive stuff that you dragon fruit and stuff like that that you are from other places in this world and are very expensive. So maybe you can kind of talk about how this is not the case, that eating healthy does not have to be expensive, and how sometimes creating meals is not as time consuming as people think.
Mhm. No, that's it. And that's it. One thing I always say to people when we start talking about that the money piece is thinking, oh, it's almost like doing, when you've got a budget. I remember, putting together budgets. And when you think about things that we spend money on, easily people will go to Starbucks and buy, I don't know, a Frappuccino, whatnot, and that's like $6. Okay. Or people
Six
will
dollars.
go,
Where are you living?
remember, I'm in the GTA, right?
More like $12. Yeah.
No, and that's for the small. That's for the small. And
That's a
so
puppy size, yeah.
exactly. And and it's funny, I'll see people come see me and they've got, let's say the goose jacket. And I'm not saying there's nothing anything wrong with that but sometimes we have to think about where we're spending our money. And unfortunately, what I have seen is that when we start talking about food, and especially as a dietitian, people start saying, "Oh, you're going to make me eat organic. Oh, I got to do that." I start to, and first of all, no, it's not about, it doesn't have to be organic, free run, grain fed, all of those things. Those things are preferences. Some people prefer to have, free run, grain fed, all of those types of things. And that's perfectly fine. But when we're thinking about the cost of food, we have to start thinking about, okay, overall, how are we spending our money and what's important? So I find, yeah, a lot of people say, well, for me to eat fruits and vegetables and all these types of things, it does cost quite a bit. But then we have to think about, okay, well, there's different ways to cut back on that. First of all, buying things that are in season, buying a watermelon in the middle of January, maybe not the greatest, choice, even if you love watermelon, but yes, you're probably going to pay about $10 for it because it's not in season. Just like you just mentioned some of the specialty fruits, trending fruits that are out there, they're not necessarily any better than some of your cultural fruits or just some of the regular fruits that we'll have on hand. So it's also about seasonality. Next thing to also think about is, well, the whole talk about organic versus non-organic. And that I always say I leave up to my clients. That's a preference because I rather somebody eat fruits and vegetables that are conventional rather than saying, okay, well, if they're not organic, they're not going to eat them at all. So we don't want that to be a determining factor. Also, there are such good varieties that come frozen. We always seem we underestimate the power of frozen fruits and veg because they're actually picked when they're ready. So, for instance, because we're here in North America, a lot of the things they come from Mexico, they come from the hotter places. So they pick them when they're young, so they'll ripen on the way. On those trucks and the storage facilities, they've got special controls to help them ripen on their way. So in a sense, when we get them, and you probably even noticed this, I've noticed this too when I've gone to the grocery store, the apples are almost like they were frozen. They're so cold when I'm, choosing them because they've had to be, if you want to say, help the process of them maturing so they're ready to eat. Versus when we get things that are frozen, they're picked when they're ready and then flash frozen. So a lot of the nutrients are actually captured. Now, I am aware that we cannot, have frozen, carrots with hummus, we can't do those types of things. So it's a give and take. But there's certain ways that we can make certain choices and we can do a give and take when it comes to, okay, yes, if for my salad, I'm going to have to probably spend a little bit more on the lettuce and, those fresh fruits and vegetables I may want to add to that because we have to eat them fresh. But keeping good quality frozen and even some canned options that have a lot of the companies now are really paying attention to the additives, sodium that they are adding into their canned products. So yes, they are reducing that amount, but of course, when we take away, we add. So they also add potassium and other types of preservatives. However, they are again another choice. So it's exploring the different choices that are out there in terms of what types of fruits, even when it comes to our proteins, the legumes, peas, lentils, kidney beans, they are powerhouses and they are so affordable. You can buy those, in bags for $2.99, and they are so packed with nutrients. So it's about looking at the overall picture and also deciding what's important to you. Because as I said, I know people who will buy lipstick for $20, but to buy apples for $1.99 is expensive. So what's more important to you?
No, I completely agree. And the funny thing is that you can actually save money by buying some stuff and doing the work yourself. For example, I always bought hummus because I thought hummus was the hardest thing in the world to make. It is the easiest thing. You got a blender, you got a can of chickpeas, you got some salt and some oil.
And that's it. Exactly.
So easy, right? And then like one of my go-to meals is always black bean burgers and sweet potato fries. Literally, I can cook and get the whole meal for under $5, and it's just like I can feed an entire family with that, 4 burgers and sweet
Yeah.
potato. It's just learning and being able to, I guess, to step out of that comfort zone, right?
Yes. Yes. And you know what? I worked for industry for a while in the as an in-store dietitian, and they are so great at making things easy for
Mhm.
people in terms of how can we showcase certain burgers, foods, those types of things as being easy and for people to save time, because of course that's always it. Nobody has enough time. It's always, if we can do the quick fix and that type of thing. But if we also, just like you said, learn how to make those things and realize, hey, it's really not as hard as it may seem. Because I think a lot of people are intimidated. That's
Mhm.
another thing too. And this is where, again, that counseling psychology piece, I always find when I'm talking to people and getting to the root cause of, why do you think it's better to buy, or order foods or do these things? It's that also that intimidation piece that comes in. Oh, I'm afraid it's not going to turn out well. I don't want to waste. I don't want, but you know what? Creating food, you can look at it as an experiment. It's like it's a science experiment. And you know what? If it doesn't work out, you try something else again. There's no rule to say, oh, oh, you didn't add enough salt, so it's wrong. No, or you didn't do this. No, explore and enjoy the process.
And I'm a big advocate for that. I usually we cycle. We have a list of 15 meals that every week I say, okay, what meals of this 15 do you want to eat this week, and then we buy the ingredients for it. It's pretty easy. It's funny that people will have no problem starting a new series, not knowing anything about the TV series, but trying to start a new recipe. It's like, whoa, that's not in my
Exactly, the intimidation piece.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, that's a real biggie, and just like you said, ways to even cut costs is, instead of buying maybe the chopped and peeled items, it's not too hard unless, of course, unless you have any other, people with certain issues with, arthritis and, where they really can't spend a lot of time standing, sitting, peeling, that kind of thing. But, really thinking about, okay, buying those items and cutting them up yourselves, picking a day, meal planning. There's so many little things you can do to help with the cost and really healthy eating, as they say. And compared to buying things out, it's not more expensive. It's just, again, looking at how you're spending your money and finding those little tricks.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, going for a restaurant with you and your partner for a dinner is going to cost you somewhere between $50 to $100.
Exactly.
And that's more than your entire groceries for the entire week for all your meals, right?
Exactly.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's prioritizing what you want. And my philosophy is like your body is the only thing that's going to guarantee you future life, right? Your health is the
Yeah.
only thing that gives you future life. So might as well try to take care of it because you know, might as well live a healthy life as long as you possibly can.
Mhm.
Perfect. I know we're running out of time because I talk a lot. So
I know we could talk forever.
I think maybe what we'll do is we'll have a follow-up conversation in the fall when some other
Yes.
fruit and vegetables are in season to see if we can
Oh,
do.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yes.
Okay, so what I want to talk about now is the impact on the healthcare system. So Mick, what do you see as the cause of illness and chronic disease that is burdening the healthcare system in its population and costs?
Well, again, this is a very important thing, and some people realize it, and some people don't realize the impact it is having. Our own lifestyle or our own lifestyle behaviors is having on the healthcare system. And and by the way, it's very universal. It's all over the world, the same problem that we are running into. In Canada, for example, or in North America, I should say, both in Canada and US, because we're very tied closely. 80% of our healthcare budget goes to lifestyle related diseases. Okay, now these are again cardiovascular problems, diabetes, obesity, cancer, and anything to do with lack of exercise, right? Because that's coming a part of the disease now too. So when you look at that, I mean that, and again, what is the cause of all that? The cause is, number one, we are very dependent on ultra processed foods because they're simple, they're easy, and we think they're less expensive. So let's go grab it, and they're quick, and we can, we become a very quick society. Let me eat quickly, and I'll run and go, and go and sit on my desk or go whatever, and then I'll get up and come back and do the same routine. So that is all adding into the into the healthcare burden. The other thing that is really impacting is our healthcare system has become sick care. We only care when we are sick, okay? Not as a preventative. And Salus, our idea is to look at this lifestyle, medical and preventative care. So if you are in that zone where you have caused a certain illness to yourself, we can help you manage. Our system will be able to help you manage with the help of dietitians. And also at the same time, there are, if you're on the, say, pre-diabetic and you don't want to fall over the fence, we can help. Our dietitian should be able to help you in terms of, providing with the evidence-based science. So that's how, and the burden itself on healthcare is not lowering, it's increasing every year. So it's a huge problem, and it's universal.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then Jenille, what are your thoughts on the relevance and benefits for dietitians to work with physicians so that it does not become more sick care, but becomes more preventative care?
Yes, that's something that, I that's what you say, truly believe in. And because the importance to the client, we can't just look at one area, and having that open communication between the dietitian and the physician is so key, because there's a lot of things that, where the physician may give the recommendation and the prescription, that type of thing. And the dietitian, they can collaborate in order to making that care even stronger. So even bringing a mixed case in, to mind, when his doctor's like, oh, you've got to lose weight and here's 900 calories and whatnot. To me, that's an area where a dietitian could have easily come in, and it could have been a discussion. Okay, because lose weight is not just, as easy as it seems. And a lot of times people, when they feel that's when they start leading into the restriction and adds to more negative outcomes. So what's important is that communication between the dietitian and physician, so we can work together. For instance, looking at blood work and how that we can work together in terms of, okay, if there's certain areas here, for instance, cholesterol, what can we do over here? on the nutrition side in order to make sure we can work on lowering the cholesterol and those types of things. And that communication is so key because that's where the gap is. Unfortunately, with the doctors, they are bombarded, especially, we see on the news and media nowadays unfortunately, with COVID, the pandemic, the strain on the healthcare system, where the dietitian, we can step in and alleviate that piece so that the doctors can work on other things. So it's like a tag team. The doctor will do their assessment, they'll see where the areas that need work, and the dietitian, because food is so important and can be as medicine, can come in and offer some of those preventative care. So instead of just writing the prescription right away, because that's the easiest thing to do, right? Prescription, off you go. But what does that solve? Nothing. That's the band-aid solution. The dietitian can help with that long-term solution. And so this is why we here at Salus, we feel that making that communication easy, because that's another thing. Sometimes it's not as easy when you're seeing a client in private work, and you've got to tell that client, oh, now go call your doctor and this and that. It's like broken telephone. But with Salus, where we're in one platform, there's that seamless communication. To me, that's just, if you want to say, what we've been waiting for in the dietetic field. So, and especially dietitians in private practice. So that collaborative piece is so key, and I can just see so many people benefiting on so many different levels.
Absolutely. So I want just to follow up to that, because I know that a lot of perhaps older physicians are resistant to change with diet. They're more on the Western medicine side of medications and things like that. If one of and right now I have a younger doctor, just my older doctor retired, and I have a younger one. He seems to be more in tune with diets and lifestyle. If you have an older doctor, how do you approach them to say, listen, I mean, I don't want the medications. I want to be able to combat this through lifestyle change and diet. How can it, because for a dietitian, does a doctor have to refer a patient to a dietitian, or can a patient go see a dietitian directly?
So patient can go see directly.
Okay.
So on the side where maybe the patient themselves may feel like, yeah, I don't want to just be taking medications. And what I've seen being in the hospital setting is that, okay, you start off with this dosage. Unfortunately, you just go up, it just gets stronger and stronger. So instead of taking one pill once a day, becomes 2 pills twice a day, and all this, it just builds. And then the strength, because and then of course you reach that threshold, and really, what have you learned? What have you changed? Nothing. It's just the pill. And so this is where also in Salus, we want to educate the client, to empower them to speak to their doctors and say, hey, how can I do this in a way where instead of just writing for my prescription to increase or to add another pill, because we also see you take a pill for one thing, it causes something else, and then you take a pill for what that causes, and we enter into polypharmacy. And I've seen that also in my career, where people are taking, I'm like, you don't have time to eat because you have to take so many pills.
Your stomach is full of pills and no room for food.
Exactly, right?
Oh, I hear you. My grandfather, he's one like that. He has 40 pills. I'm like, what are you doing?
I know, and it's unfortunate because we get to that point where you have to take one for this and the side effects for that, and then it just becomes, as I said, you look at it and I think just becomes overwhelming. And this is why we really want the population, everybody to realize you are in charge of your health. Take that step and see if you can incorporate some lifestyle changes rather than new meds.
And then let me add another component to it. I mean, you asked in terms of the older physicians, how would they kind of see? I mean, even younger, there are some who are also kind of practicing the same way in a lot of ways. However, the good news is on that side, there is a movement within the medical profession now where they are asking physicians to become more lifestyle medicine focused. And they're saying, okay, pay attention to an individual's lifestyle and help them work. Instead of writing a prescription for a drug, write a prescription for food.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so there's a good news. So there is hope at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully we can facilitate that and help the physicians to fulfill that.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And to further that point, the book I was reading, he clearly states that he did something like 14 years of school to become the oncologist that he was. And out of the 14 years, I think he said he spent 2 months learning about diet and an entire schooling for doctors. So I hope this movement comes because it's definitely needed. So I know we're kind of cutting into a little bit of the time here for questions and answer from the crowd, but I wanted to know, Mick, if you can provide me 5 quick tips for living a healthier lifestyle.
Well, the 5, I mean, for me, I work on the 4 pillars of health.
Perfect.
Okay, which is basically the good nutrition, exercise, relaxation, and sleep. Okay, all these play a very good component. Now, I mean, if you want a fifth one is good relationships. Because if you have good relationships with the people that are already in that space where they are healthy and they are keeping healthy because they're eating healthy, you will do the same thing as well. And that is very important. And also for the general good health, you need good relationships.
Yeah, I agree. That's a very common philosophy. To be great, you must surround yourself with great people. I totally agree. To be healthy, you must surround yourself with healthy people.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Jenille, top 5 tips for you for improving and sustaining a healthy diet.
Yeah, so I echo what Mick says because that looks at the body on the holistic forefront. But in terms of food, we got to make sure we're drinking our water, staying hydrated, making sure that we've got those veg on hand. And I push veg because that's where we get we get a lot of nutrients from there. And also another one is fiber. A lot of times a lot of people are missing fiber, which can also, again, that's another power food in terms of overall health. And also another thing is just eating regularly, really making sure that you're not skipping. A lot of times people, I know we're on the move, there's so much things we have got on our mind, but we really need to make sure that we're eating regularly, not going long spans and being like, oh, did I eat today? Or, I think it's time for dinner. No. And again, allowing yourself to enjoy food. So many times I hear, oh, I can't and I shouldn't eat that, or that embarrassment, or no, allow yourself to enjoy it. It's been given to us to enjoy, and that's what we need to do.
Absolutely. So what you're saying is that people shouldn't be doing those 16-hour fasts and then try to cram as much.
That's another story. Yeah, that's as they said, that's another story. We'll get back to that one.
Oh no, I completely agree. Eating veg, even for like things I've done, is that I've had 3 nights a week where I call meatless days, where I just try to surround it with whole vegetables, whole foods, and you don't understand like that how much, because the meat's more expensive than any vegetable you're gonna buy. So how much money you save by choosing this option, and how much better your body feels. Don't get me wrong.
Eat your colors, make sure you've got all the colors there, and it just wonders for your body.
Exactly. And it was the hardest for me. I was going to say, my parents are from Argentina. If anybody doesn't know, Argentina is the largest cattle exporter in the world. So not being able to eat meat every single day of my life has been really, really tricky. But I want to thank you guys so much for the amazing conversation we had. Like I said, I think this warrants an opportunity for a second one, perhaps in the fall as a follow-up. And then maybe if you can leave your emails in the chat so that people can contact you both directly if they have any follow-up questions. Right now, I'd like to open it up to the floor if anybody has any questions. A lot of people are on off camera, so if you have a question, just kind of take yourself off of mute and just ask away. It seems that Kevin has the first question with his hand up. Kevin, floor is yours.
Thank you. Again, thank you for the information and having this event today. I really appreciate it. My doctor is one of those traditional doctors. I've been with her for years. She's amazing, but I had to really push for going to someone for a dietitian. And when I got sent to a dietitian, I ended up getting to this, I'm going to call it a factory, because you spend 5 minutes with a person, they put you in a group to listen to something, and then you were given options. And the first option they gave was a gastric bypass, where I wanted to learn more about food. I wanted to learn about lifestyle. I don't want a diet. I want to transition to a proper way of eating for that. And it was a challenge. I expressed that to the doctor that it wasn't good, but that was her option, was going to this clinic. How do you find someone, like I'm very much more interested in the idea of going towards a plant-based diet, but I need some guidance because I don't want something that fetishizes food. I want someone that's going to help lead me towards that path of where I'm going to be. How do you find that in your community if your doctor's not really a resource for that?
Yes, I know. And that's, very common. And so first of all, this is where the platform that with Salus, what we're creating is that we'd have that community for you, because right now, as it stands, it's going on to Dietitians of Canada, doing a search, putting in your postal code, that type of thing. And then, names pop up and you'd be able to choose from a list there. And that's the thing, as I said, that's where the gap is. It's unfortunate is that a lot of doctors have very limited, if you want to say, knowledge of where people to find dietitians. And I'm sorry that you ended up in that situation where that wasn't helpful to you. And so this is where something like Salus, where the platform is there for you to look and see, oh, okay, I want to do a plant-based diet. There's a dietitian there that specializes in that type of thing. So at this time, it's really just going on Dietitians of Canada and, doing that search for your own. And we understand it's daunting. It's a lot.
Great. Thank you.
So much. Alexis has her hand up. Alexis?
Hi, I really enjoyed your presentation. It kind of hits home a lot for me because I grew up in a sports academy. So diet was really drilled into me, and I was going somewhere in basketball at one point in my life. So I really do enjoy hearing about nutrition and everything. My one thing is that I have a mild addiction to Nutella and chocolate. I will eat whatever, and then I will eat like a full meal and I'll be like, wow, I am stuffed, I can't eat anything. And then I'll be like, you know what would make this meal even better? If I could have like a little thing of chocolate. And I just want to know like your suggestions on why am I craving chocolate, just chocolate, and how can I stop this from happening, because my Nutella jars are slowly depleting and I need to work on myself. So
Alexa, let me just quickly answer that, talk to you about it before Jenille really gets more into it. I am a chocoholic myself as well, but I had to switch from your regular milk chocolate to dark chocolate, and I still love that. But I've kind of created a moderation for myself because I don't want to give up chocolate, and so to me that is a music listening to you. That chocolate, another chocoholic sitting across on this webinar. But anyway, Jenille, just go ahead and answer for.
Yeah, and so just like I said before, it's about finding that balance. And yes, okay, I understand it's something that, you feel you need to have, but it's also looking at overall diet. So when, we don't want to take away the Nutella or the chocolate because that's something you love. But, just like what Mick even mentioned, changing it up a bit if possible, because I know Nutella is not dark chocolate, but kind of doing that we got to find that balance with ourselves, especially when it becomes, okay, are you having a jar of Nutella a day? Or, how deep is this addiction to the Nutella?
My addiction is if I sense that I have a banana available for me, I will eat a banana and then like a huge scoop of Nutella and eat it like that. And then there's days where I'll have one singular scoop. So I try to cut myself off because I know I'm addicted. And I tried to get chocolate covered blueberries, and then I tried to get like chocolate covered almonds and chocolate covered like stuff so I could feed my addiction, but I can just sniff out the Nutella and it's just terrible. Like how in retrospect, if I eat fairly healthy, how bad is Nutella and bananas for me? Like, is it something that I definitely 100% need to cut myself off of, or is it something that it's not that bad?
You know what? I'll tell you this. I always say, unless it's something that's going to cause you, as I said, it's going to kill you or cause you to have some type of severe reaction, 100% no. I wouldn't. Why would you do that to yourself? And then when you see the Nutella one day, you're just going to go mad for it all. So allowing yourself to, you know what, yeah, I'm going to have some Nutella with banana, but also I want you to explore other things too. And this is why with that individualized approach, we look at different behaviors, because I think there might be some other things that Nutella stands for you, maybe comfort, happiness, other things that Nutella, you probably have no clue about. But yeah.
I don't think it has any other ulterior motive except for the fact that it just tastes like Jesus picked it himself. It is so good, and I can't stop. That is the only reasoning.
Yeah.
No,
But
Like I can eat like a 4-course meal, and I'll be like, I am stuffed. Like I am full bloat, and I sniff on the Nutella, and I can scoop it for days. And
yeah,
that's my unhealthy and my strange addiction.
your strange addiction. Well, as they said, we don't want. I would never say you have to go cold turkey on Nutella, but we're gonna have to see about how you can, kind of even pre-portion it out and things so that you're not overeating, on it at one time, but you can still enjoy it. So taking that Nutella, putting a few scoops on, in a bowl, and then putting it somewhere far away, getting it out of sight, out of mind.
No, I agree with that, Jenille. I know for me with junk food, I have to like have it out of my house, or else I just wouldn't want to eat it all the time. But when I save myself on Saturdays, like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna load up on junk food today because I need to get my craving out of the way. And I am actually quite a big chocolate fan myself. And again, this is just my personal something that helped me is I found a really good recipe for things called black bean brownies.
Oh yeah.
Where the sweetener for the brownies is a thing called coconut flour extract, which is like, I guess, a natural sugar. I don't know, Janelle is probably like kicking herself underneath the desk right now. But these brownies are they're amazing because you get your chocolate fix. It's made of cocoa powder, black bean. It doesn't taste like beans at all. It just tastes like a dark chocolate brownie, but it does make quite a difference for me. So I guess finding other alternatives for sweet, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And there's even an avocado chocolate mousse you can make.
Oh, so good.
So trust me, the options are endless.
Exactly. Awesome. Okay. Well, does anybody else have any questions before we wrap up today's amazing webinar with 2 amazing guests? Doesn't seem like it. So, as always, you see that the Mick provided his email in the chat, and Jenille will provide hers as well.
Yes.
You guys can reach out to them. You can always look at this webinar again if you forgot anything on our YouTube channel. You can visit our website at sparkinnovation.ca. and check out all of our socials at Spark Innovation Canada. Is that correct, Emma? Did I get the tagline right? Yeah.
Yes, that is our Instagram and our Facebook and Twitter as well.
Perfect. So please keep in touch. Check us out. We have webinars all the time. The topics vary. This time we're talking about healthy lifestyle. One time we're talking about putting a patent together for your business, but it's all related to making you a better you. So please check out all of our webinars and all of our videos. Please follow us on all of our socials. We have a great social media team, marketing team that really makes it fun. And we encourage you to come check out our space here at Spark Innovation Educational Center once the lockdown is lifted, downtown Niagara Falls, and you'll be amazed by what we do here. So thank you so much to Mick and Jenille.
And then,
give you guys a bottle of wine that we usually give our webinar hosts.
Well, I'll hold you to that. I will hold you to that.
Exactly. Come try it.
Well, Dan, thank you very much for hosting this, and we appreciate the opportunity.
Yes,
anytime. I love to do it. I think, like I said, we need to do a follow-up in the fall once
Absolutely.
has come and we can come up with some crazy good meals that are healthy and delicious.
Nice.
Wonderful.
All right, perfect. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon, and be sure to check us out.